Today's review is going to be on Greggs. So, for those of you that don't know, Greggs is it's a fast food place in primarily the north of the UK. It's pastries, sandwiches, coffees, crisps. Crisps, I mean what the Americans refer to as potato chips. They're known mostly for the sausage rolls and pasties, and a pasty is a pastry. A sausage roll also technically a pastry, but more common outside of the UK than a regular pasty. And you'll see shortly what exactly a pasty is, because I've got a couple of them with me. The most common ones that people buy, in my opinion, or at least the ones that those around me buy. And I have also got a bit of a story about my time at Greggs. So I went into the Greggs store myself. I didn't order the food. I went there just so that I could get a bit more insight into what exactly happens in, one of these places, one of these nightmare zones, I guess is the best way to put it. So yeah, not a great start to the day, but at least this food might help cheer me up a little bit. I think the week in general, I think, has kind of been ruined, if you will. So, there's a lot going on in the world. The main thing for me, I think, is Super Mega have been gone, haven't come back. I was hoping that they would come back this week, and they haven't, which is, an absolute shame. So I hope that, the Super Mega Boys are going to be back soon. That's kind of, maybe let us know what's going on with the channel, that kind of thing. And there's been just a couple of other crappy things going on. I don't like the way that Stephen Crowder's been treating his employees. That's a new story that I've been following. I found a flea, so I've had to go and buy some flea spray. Got to take care of that, because once you've seen one, it's not great. It's not a great sign. Got to take care of the house, take care of the cats. I haven't introduced the cats yet here, but you will meet them soon, for absolute sure. They are definitely a pair of. They're a pair. They're a couple of cards. So let's get this started. Greggs. Known for their pastries, known for their pasties, known for their sausage rolls. I went to Greggs, and here we are. So the first thing I will say is it's a no plastic bag. They're clearly very proud of that. So the Greggs logo is far smaller than the Look No Plastic bags. So that why are you going to show off? It's taken for granted these days. You shouldn't really be using plastic, you should be using paper. And Greggs themselves have been using paper on the actual pasty wrappers themselves. So I don't really understand why it's such a big deal that you've got this Look No Plastic and we've now switched to paper bags. I think I get that. I think I've got that. I'm acutely aware of that, I'd say, so thanks. But for those of you that don't like plastic, Greggs have got you, I suppose. Greggs have taken care of that. They're very proud of it, but they are taking steps to reduce the amount of plastic that we use. Those warriors out there that are anti-plastic, those protesters, those mad lads who are gonna go out for revenge or some kind of vigilantism against Greggs for using plastic. We love you, you're very special, but now you need to stand back, stand down. I think we're okay here on that front. Greggs clearly taking a strong and stable stance against plastics, and obviously very proud of it. So the first item that I'm going to review is the sausage roll. So paper again, sticking to their guns. This is still hot, but not too hot. I think it's just the right temperature to eat. I'm going to show you what the sausage roll actually looks like now. So this is exactly as I would expect from Greggs. It's just the right temperature. It's cooked just right. It's not burned or anything like that. A lovely golden brown. It smells exactly as I remember them, but a lot of nostalgic feelings associated with this. It's making me, want to eat this. There's nothing, I don't feel any, like when you go to McDonald's and you kind of see the burger and you're like, well, I guess I have to eat it now. I've bought it, but I also feel kind of bad about it. There's nothing like that going on here. This is, I actually feel like I've deserved this, like I've worked hard for it, especially after already doing half a day of work. I kind of feel like this is going to help me get through the rest of my day, and maybe even the rest of my week, because my week has been ruined already. No fleas on it. So I'm going to give it the taste test now. It tastes amazing. It's a really, really nice sausage meat. It's sweet, it's not too hard, not too soft. It's not soggy. You can see the inside of the Greggs there, the sausage meat. There's no sauce or anything like that in this standard pastry. It's meant to be eaten just as is, typically. Although, I have to recommend, if you do choose to use a condiment for this, either ketchup or barbecue sauce or mayonnaise. I think one of the classic three, I think, goes well with this. Damn, that's good. So something that I wanted to bring up was, I'm going to do these reviews I'm going to do up to 10 star ratings for the things that I'm reviewing. In this case, I'm reviewing Greggs as a whole, and I've gotten at least 3, example pieces of food to do that review, and I've also been into a Greggs establishment myself so that I can experience the ordering process and whatever else may happen there, which I will get into. I'm going to use 6 categories, and then I'm going to average them all out for a total score at the end. And the 6 categories are: is it useful? Is it practical? Is it necessary? Is it challenging? Is it attractive? And darkness. And if you're wondering, darkness is, did anything go wrong? What can I complain about? What are the overall weaknesses? Because I wanted the rest of these categories neither to be strengths nor weaknesses, whereas I wanted to handle strengths and weaknesses at the end. And the reason that I've chosen the name Darkness is because I like to think that I can point out a couple of things that maybe other people can't quite point out. Just, a couple of things that I might have noticed that maybe, your typical everyman might have kind of missed. So, the sausage roll is delicious. I suppose the only bad thing I can say about a sausage roll is that it can be a little bit dry. So it's best to have something to drink with it. I've got one of my classic favourites, a glass of apple juice. It's quite a neutral tasting apple juice. This is very watery. And the other thing is, I think I could only eat 1 sausage roll per day. It can be quite an overpowering taste. It's a bit of a blast of flavour when you eat one of these sausage rolls. The next Greggs item I've got is a steak bake. Now, a steak bake is an example of a pasty. A pasty is simply a square baked pastry with, usually a mixture of ingredients on the inside. Here is a steak bake. So the bite is from me. I had to actually find out which pasta this was by biting into it because I couldn't smell it on the outside, which is an interesting point to make, I suppose. Here's what it looks like on the inside. So it's kind of a dark kind of beef sauce, beef, like you would see inside a pie, beef and ale pie. It's kind of like that on the inside. Very, very Yorkshire, very English. And it goes really, really well with this pastry. I have to say, it's been a while since I've had one of these. Fantastic, more nostalgia vibes coming from this. I used to have these when I was very young. It's tempting to just eat the whole thing. So for usefulness, I'd say the thing about Greggs is that in the UK, in the north specifically, they have a reputation for being everywhere. There's a reputation for there being many, many Greggs stores. In the city that I live in, you can walk down one street and pass 5 Greggs in a row. Well, not in a row, there are things in between them, but you can pass 5 Greggs in one walk from one place to another down this one particular street. There's actually 5 Greggs on it. At this time, though, they do tend to shift and move around the town centre. It's useful for if you just need to grab something. They do your standard drinks, Coca-Cola, all that kind of thing. If you just need to go in there and grab a drink, there's usually something there for everybody. They've got their own brand of drinks as well, and they do a raspberry lemonade, which I actually really enjoy. Convenient, very accessible, very useful, I'd say. You're dehydrated, you've had a bad day, maybe you've had to go to the post office. At the moment, that could cause you to sweat quite a lot, and you might be dehydrated, and you might go in and get something to cool you down, maybe be a bit more hydrated, and at the same time you might think, I could really go for a sandwich. Or you might pick up your drink, get all the way to where you pay for it, and that's where you order the food, and you might be taken by the smell, and you might get yourself a Greggs. Or you might be hungry. What if you work in the town centre? What if you just need something for lunch, just to keep you going through the day, and you've only got £2 on you, £2 English. So, this cost me £1.95. So that's about $1.70 in classic American greenbacks. So really cheap. It's useful. It tastes good. It's cheap. And I think that's all you need to be useful. I'm going to give Greggs a usefulness 7 out of 10. I think that's well deserved. The next category is Greggs practical. Just getting the last item of food here to bring up. So I think that practicality isn't really a category that needs to be, it doesn't need to have much time spent on it for a food review, or a review of a chain of places that do food. Same packaging again. Classic Greggs paper. Practical. You can eat this out of the bag. You can just carry around. It's common to see people walking around eating these. It's common for homeless to sit outside Greggs, and for us to, if you don't quite want to give a homeless person money but you do want to help them, one choice is to get them a Greggs. It's a really common thing to do here, which I absolutely have no problem with people doing that. And the other thing is, you can actually sit inside a Greggs. It was only a few years ago, I think, that they brought in tables on the inside of Greggs. It's only 1 or 2 tables, but it gives you the option of actually sitting inside and being able to eat the food as well. So for practicality, I'm going to give them another 7. This is a chicken bake. This is actually my favourite off of the Greggs menu. That's bloody good. And with that, we'll go into necessary. Greggs is absolutely necessary. I've just been reminded of all the times I've eaten my favourite Greggs item, and if Greggs were to disappear, I would be really unhappy. It doesn't take much to ruin my week, but if Greggs disappeared, a large part of my life, I suppose, would be missing. It would be, if a large part of your life has gone missing, then your life is by definition ruined. So, not just because of nostalgia, but also because it does so much for people. They do vegan options, tea, coffee, just so many good reasons to have them around. I'm going to give them an 8 for necessity. Is Greggs challenging? I'm going to say, judging by the convenience of Greggs, judging by how quick and easy it is to get served, typically, and taking into account how easy the food is to eat, how they keep it at just the right temperature. It takes a long time for it to get into a state where you might not want to eat it. Maybe it can be eaten cold, it can be eaten hot. I prefer somewhere in the middle. I think with that in mind, it's not challenging. But do I want it to be challenging? So in these rating systems, higher means better, and in this case, not challenging is better. So I think in terms of challenging, I'm going to give Greggs an 8. I think the convenience of Greggs makes it well deserved, and it's very easy to eat this food. It doesn't get all over you, and the bags make it really convenient to eat even if it's hot as well. And again, these Greggs are just everywhere, so really not challenging at all to deal with Greggs. Now, does Greggs... That's what the inside of the chicken bake looks like, so I think that looks amazing. They've got these lovely marks from baking. I think it's a good looking thing. I think that, you know, the logo, it's a nice colourblind friendly blue a la Facebook. I think, you know, it's a fairly attractive brand. However, I will say that it is a very old brand. It hasn't been updated that much. A lot of people don't realise it, but Greggs wasn't the original name as well. And even when it had the old name, the branding was very similar. So they haven't updated it that much. Attractiveness, I think that the food always looks perfect, but the brand, I think, could use work. So for attractiveness, I'm going to give them a 6. And that just leaves the last category. Darkness. So, my experience in Greggs today. I actually went to Greggs on the way back from the post office. Waiting at the post office absolutely sucks. It's shit. It's fucking terrible. I hate the post office. I hate everybody who's in the queue at the post office. I hate the people who take the longest at the front of the line at the post office. I hate everything. The only thing I don't hate about the post office is that I've been so often that they recognise me at the post office and seem to, at least when I get to the front of the queue, seem to give me very good service. So I went to Greggs after I'd been to the post office because it's a short walk from where I live. It's convenient, like I said earlier, it's on the way. I've just been to the post office and dealt with a queue, and then I get into Greggs. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm thinking, you know, it's a bit after lunch. People are generally back at work around here at this time. I go in and there's a queue of 3 people. I think, okay, that's not too bad. And what do I notice? Nobody has any food in their hands. So I think that's okay. That just means that they're going to get something from behind the counter, like the pastries that I've got are typically kept behind the counter. It would be, you know, sandwiches and drinks and things that are not kept behind the counter, or those little, you know, pasta boxes and things like that. So the first person is being served, and I notice that they're given a coffee, and they get given the wrong coffee. It's made for them again. And I notice that the making of the coffee and the serving of it takes about as long as it would take 5 customers in a row to buy one of these sausage rolls and leave the establishment. So I think that this queue of 3 people, who all, by the way, ended up getting coffee and not actual food, it's like, I'm sure that they could have got some coffee at work. You know, even builders and things have coffee on hand, you know, the kettle in the office or whatever it might be. There's usually, you know, some form of tea or coffee available at most workplaces. These freaks have decided to get coffee from Greggs, which isn't even the best coffee in the, you know, around, I don't think, by the way. And it's not the only place that they can get them either. The one stop nearby does coffee. Even Asda, you know, has a machine for coffee. And there are many, many cafes as well that actually do serious coffee. So I probably waited as long as I would have had to wait for about 8 people to buy a pasty and leave, just because all of them wanted coffee. And I'd like to know why, and I'd like to do something about it. I think that that's disgusting. If I just felt like going back to work after that. I'm supposed to be off this afternoon, but I just thought, fuck this place, you know. Why don't I just go back to work then, if you're gonna be like that? But yeah, I persevered, you know. I waited through, and eventually it was my turn. The staff were very nice. All of the items that I wanted were ready and had been freshly baked. I know that they're typically brought in frozen, They're typically brought in frozen and then reheated, I think, or at least reheated using one of their special proprietary ovens, I believe. But either way, that's not really for me to judge on, because McDonald's do the same thing, and if it were a fresh bakery, I would have said so, and I'd be using a different stance, a different point of view to review that bakery. Greg's, I'm okay with the fact that the stuff's brought in pre-made and then heated up. That's absolutely fine with me. Because it tastes consistent, and I like a bit of consistency, so I'll give them that. So for Darkness, because of the coffee situation, I'm gonna drop them a few points. Darkness, I'm gonna give them a 5 out of 10. So let's work out the average. So that's an average of 6.8. So rounding that up, I'm going to give Greg's an official WeekRuined 7 out of 10. Well done, Greg's. You've absolutely earned it. That's pretty good going. I think that's fair. Special mention to the vegan sausage roll and the vegan steak bake, which I think are exceptional. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm gonna buy some more Greg's in the near future. I think it's been too long. It was good. Greg's, I think they'll go far. Thank you, Greg's. And yeah, I'm going to end it there. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Cheers.